You ever watch an anime about Vikings, war, revenge, and come out of it thinking, damn, that was a lot more emotional than I thought it would be? Yeah, that's exactly what I went through when I watched Vinland Saga, especially season 1. It's full of swords, blood, yelling, and trauma, but if you look past the bodies and the gore, there's something way more tender underneath it all. This show isn't just about killing kings or chasing glory, it's about people learning to love. Not in the fairy tale way, but the messy, painful, sometimes soul-crushing way. So let's talk about what Vinland Saga is really about. Love. Parental love, brotherly love, toxic love, redemptive love, even love for yourself, which might be the hardest of them all. Strap in, this one's gonna get real. And oh yeah, heavy spoilers for season 1 and season 2 of Vinland Saga. You have been warned. Alright. Let's start with the OG Thors. I mean, that first battle with Thors was sick. He was easily taking out soldiers like they were nothing, and a stark contrast to the scene where he tells Thorfinn, "You have no enemies." That line haunted me a bit. Not because it's deep, it is kind of deep, but mainly because of how wrong it kind of felt in a world like this. Vikings with no enemies? The whole village had enemies. Even their harsh environment could be seen as an enemy. But Thors wasn't saying love your enemies, like some sort of anime pacifist. He meant you don't need to live for hate. He walked away from war because he figured out real love. Thors was living proof that love isn't just something you feel, it's a choice. It's choosing not to kill, choosing to protect, choosing to raise a kid with warmth instead of wrath. And Thors wasn't soft, he wasn't a meek guy. He was probably the most feared guy in the show when you think about it, but he used that strength to not fight. That's love in its most powerful sense. Self-sacrifice without ego. And of course, that's the same sort of love that Thorfinn doesn't understand until it's too late. So unfortunately, Thorfinn loses his dad, Thors, and boom, there goes his entire sense of love. He starts chasing revenge, trying to kill Askeladd, who honestly becomes one of the most toxic father figures in anime. I mean, that title is heavily contested for. I'd probably put a certain scientist father from Full Metal Alchemist at the top. Give him the gold medal for most toxic dad. Let me know who you think's the most toxic anime father figure is in the comments. But yeah, anyway, it's wild, right? Because Thorfinn doesn't just hate Askeladd, he needs him. He builds his entire life around killing him. And when that's gone, he's empty. That's the thing. Hate is addictive, but it's still a reaction to love. Twisted love, sure, but love all the same. You don't try and kill someone for years unless they mean something to you. That's why when Askeladd dies, Thorfinn doesn't celebrate, he breaks. The guy who was his target, his purpose, maybe even his role model to a certain degree, is gone. And Thorfinn, he's lost in the dark. This part of the story, season 2 especially, it's about Thorfinn learning how to fill that void. And what replaces revenge? Spoiler alert, it's love again. But this time, something real. Enter Einar, or Einar. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but I'm gonna go with Einar. This man walks into Thorfinn's life like a warm blanket during a thunderstorm. I think Einar is one of the best representations of healthy masculine love in anime. Einar is not trying to fight, he's not trying to be cool, he's just trying to survive and protect people he cares about. And he chooses to see Thorfinn not as a killer, not as a slave, but as a human. That simple act of seeing someone beyond their worst mistake is love. And Einar loves Thorfinn. Maybe not romantically, but spiritually, they're soulmates. Two broken men planting seeds, literally and emotionally, trying to grow something better. That's what love does, man. It softens you, it grounds you, reminds you that you're still alive. Let's pivot to Canute and that one monk who casually blew his mind. So season 1 hits a quiet moment where this guy, Willibald, a monk, with a haunted look in his eye, drops what I think is one of the rawest, realest takes on love I've seen in anime. Canute, still green, still clinging to religious ideals, and he asks what love really is. He's expecting some sort of textbook answer, something holy or something straight out of the Bible. But Willibald takes a different take on it. And Willibald's he's clearly depressed. He's a depressed alcoholic. And he gives this surprisingly deep perspective on love. Love is to value someone else's life over your own. It is to sacrifice yourself. He says people confuse love with desire, with attachment, but that's not it. That's selfishness. That's ego. Real love, he says, is selfless. It's not about feeling good. It's about being willing to suffer for someone else's good. He points at a skeleton rotting in the grass and he says that is real love, because that guy's body is feeding nature. There's so many things that would survive because that guy is dead. I thought that was pretty interesting. Quite dark, a dark take on love, I suppose, but pretty cool. Willibald says the only one who's ever truly loved are Jesus and Thors, both of which gave their lives for others, which I thought was quite funny that that comparison got made. Imagine Jesus going with a sword and taking people out. That'd be pretty cool to see. But anyway, I digress. This conversation rewires Canute. It's the first time someone makes him question everything. His fear, his faith, his weakness. It plants the seed that maybe power isn't love. That love is soft and strong. It's ironic, right? Because in season 2, Canute takes that seed and waters it with blood. He wants to build a paradise, but he does it by conquering. He sacrifices others, not himself. He forgets the whole point. Willibald gave him his truth. Canute just couldn't carry it. And that's what makes that scene powerful. Love, real love, is so rare in the world. People don't even know what it looks like when it's right in front of them. Canute's arc is basically love turning into obsession. He starts off sheltered, scared, but once he snaps, he snaps. He becomes a ruler, cold, calculating, ready to kill and achieve what he thinks is peace. But it's not peace, it's control. Canute's love is warped. He wants a world where no one has to suffer, but he's willing to make people suffer to get it. And here's the tragic part. He thinks he's right, as do all the best antagonists. This is what happens when you lose sight of the monk's lesson, when love stops being a gift and becomes a weapon. Canute loved Ragnar. Ragnar was more of a dad to him than his own father, but he didn't learn from him. He tried to become his father, and doing so forgot how to love like himself and like how Ragnar loved him. Now let's get real. The hardest love in Vinland Saga and in life is self-love. Thorfinn hates himself for what he's done, for who he became, for the blood on his hands. But there's a moment in season 2 where he has a dream. You know that dream where he's in the pit full of corpses and they're pulling him down, and then he climbs out. Not because someone saved him, but because he chose to live. He chose to embark on a journey of redemption and self-forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't a weak trait. It takes a lot of mental strength, a lot of emotional strength. It's a battle, and in that moment, Thorfinn's journey of self-forgiveness starts. And it's ongoing. And I do think that some of the scenes where he allows people to beat him up without fighting back, it's kind of like a subconscious form of self-punishment. I don't know, that's just my opinion. But nevertheless, the journey is ongoing and he's trying to atone and forgive himself. So yeah, Vinland Saga is violent, gritty, bloody, but it's not about war. It's about what war takes from us and how love is the only way to get it back. Thors loved by walking away. Thorfinn learned to love by standing still. Einar loved by showing up. Canute forgot how to love. And in the end, it's love, not swords, that will build Vinland. And here's something we can all relate to. We all carry pain, regrets, rage, but we also carry the capacity to forgive, to grow, and to love again. You don't need to fight your whole life. You just need to realize that you have no enemies includes the enemy you see in yourself. So if you've ever been angry or lost or numb, if you've ever felt like you've gone too far, remember Thorfinn. Remember that boy who was born into violence, lived for vengeance, and still found his way back. Because love is brutal, but it's also brave. Thanks for watching. It's a brand new channel. I'm going to be yapping some more. So if you like the way I yap, please like, subscribe, drop a comment. Would love to get your thoughts on this. I really appreciate it. Let me know what your favorite moment in Vinland Saga was. And yeah, take care of yourself. Peace.